There once was this Texas billionaire who only had one heir. It was his daughter. He decided that he wanted to try to find an eligible bachelor from his community in the surrounding area, find the most eligible bachelor was out there to possibly marry his daughter. So what he did is he put an advertisement out and said, I'm going to have a challenge. Any one of you bachelors that is eligible will come. If you can rise to the challenge and meet it, the first one that does will have the choice of one of three things: $2 million in cash, a home of your dreams built to your specifications, or my beautiful daughter's hand in marriage. So the night it all happened, all of these eligible bachelors came, and before them was this large pool. As they rolled everything back, it was filled with alligators, with a few of them. He had all the men standing down at the other end of the pool. He said, let me just say, here is the challenge. To the first one of you that can get in the pool and make it across out to the other side, standing in front of me, you will have your choice, if you can do it, of one of three things. You will have your choice of $2 million cash, the home of your dreams built to your specifications, or the hand of my beautiful daughter in marriage, knowing that everything that belongs to me will at some point become yours. Before he could finish making the statement, somebody was in the pool. There was snapping and gurgling and splashing. And finally, this guy comes out on the other end with his clothes a little bit tattered, and he's breathing very, very heavy. He had made it through, and the billionaire was smiling. He said, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Because it was like before he could finish saying anything, it happened. So he looked at the young man, who was winded, of course, and he said, young man, he says, you did it. You have your choice of one of three things. He said, do you want the $2 million in cash? And the young man said, no. He said, well, all right. He says, do you want the house of your dreams built to your specifications? And still winded, the young man said, no. Billionaire kind of smiled, and he said, well, then you must want the hand of my beautiful daughter in marriage, knowing that one day all of this will be yours. And the young man, winded, said, no, sir. The Texas billionaire was taken aback. He said, well, son, you just got through this entire thing of alligators and made it on the other side. He said, if you don't want the $2 million in cash, and you don't want the house of your dreams built to your specification, then you don't want my beautiful daughter's hand in marriage. He says, what do you want? And still winded, the young man said, I just want to know the name of the dude that pushed me into the swimming pool. He was pushed, no doubt. You know, it's amazing. People do things for their reasons, not ours. And when we try to determine what those reasons are, we get ourselves in trouble. This past week, I had the opportunity to do 2 speaking engagements, one 4-hour training at a church for their school staff as school was getting ready to start. And then also I got the opportunity to speak at the end of the week at the Florida League of Cities, which is all the municipalities in the state of Florida. All of their leaders gather for their annual conference, and I got to do a breakout session. In both of these sessions, I talked about communication and building rapport. One of the things that we often forget, a key component of communication, is we forget that it's about the other person and not us. In fact, I gave them a line to remember this past Friday at the League of Cities, that if you don't think about anything else, we have to remember that if I want to build rapport, if I really want to communicate with someone else, I have to go from me to we. It does start with me and the awareness of how I'm communicating, and the awareness of where I'm at, and the awareness of the place from which I'm coming from. But then I have to move over across the aisle, across the line, if you will, to we. I have to think about my audience. I have to think about, once I think about what makes them tick and what ticks them off, I then have to think about what's going to be my appeal to them, and what's going to be the most appealing way to deliver what I need to say that's going to resonate with them. And then number 3, I also need to think about what's the best approach. Do you know, sometimes when we are communicating with other people and we don't want to deliver really bad news, or very difficult news. We avoid the difficult conversations by getting into an email chain or a text exchange. When the bottom line is that sometimes what we need to say is best delivered in person. It's a good thing to think about because often, especially even those closest to us, we think we know what they're thinking. We think we know why they're saying what we're saying. We think we know why they're doing what they're doing. And sometimes it may not be the things that we think. It may be for some entirely different reason. But here's the thing. When communicating, it's up to us to find that out first, because we'll never be able to build rapport and build that communication bridge that we need in order to get our message across, but more importantly, in order to understand the other person so that we can truly have that act of communication.